We're going to start. We are going to look at chemistry still. Teacher Alan, once again, Muto Online. We are looking at a precise way how to respond to items, chemistry items, and the element of construct too, about food additives and food additives, drugs and medicines, then soaps and detergents. It's what we are going to simply look at right now. To cut the story short, let's go straight to the items. You can say the only word you can give to us is simply inviting your friends. Invite more of your friends. Like our videos, comment, supplement, clarify. Don't forget to subscribe, to tap the bell after subscribing for more information, for notifications. We said we are Muto Online. To cut the story short, let's go straight to a response about drugs and medicine. It is going to be a short one. Let me think. We are on. Welcome, Timothy. The lesson has started. Timothy, the lesson has started. Timothy, we have, and the friends, we have an item up here. An item is saying that Paul, after taking many days without sleeping, he decided to take penicillin tablets so as to reduce the pain that he was experiencing. After many hours of taking penicillin tablets, headache persisted. Let me think we see the scenario. The scenario goes, Paul, after taking many days without sleeping, he decided to take penicillin tablets so as to reduce the pain he was experiencing. After taking many hours of taking penicillin tablets, headache persisted. He was not healed from the headache. And we have tasks here, and one of them is to point out the problem Paul made when choosing the product. Let me think we are noting. The other one is help Paul to understand the penicillin, to understand what penicillin treats. Advise Paul on the challenges associated with long-term use of penicillin tablets. These are the tasks. To go back to the scenario, Paul, after taking many days without sleeping, he decided to take penicillin tablets so as to reduce the pain that he was experiencing. After many hours of taking penicillin tablets, headache persisted. Let me think we've noted the scenario. So before you even go to part A, they may tell you to explain the category of the product. We may need to know the category of the product. We may need to know, before we even go further, we should know how the product works. So you put in the mind what the function of that product before you even start responding to what is given. The side effects of using that product. So Kato was feeling a lot of pain after many days of not sleeping. Actually, after many days without sleeping. Instead of taking what this someone had to take, he used penicillin. So they're asking us to point out the mistake Kato made. So the mistake Kato made are responding now. Paul used an antibiotic uh, instead of an analgesic. Kato used an antibiotic. Penicillin is an antibiotic drug. We know what the antibiotics do. Instead of using an analgesic that relieves pain, Kato used an antibiotic. So the response to that would be Kato used an antibiotic instead of an analgesic that would relieve the pain. So that was the mistake Paul made. I don't know if I'm not detailed. So the key things they wanted to see, did you mention anything about antibiotic? Did you mention anything to do with analgesic and its function? Let me think I'm heard well. Let me think the network is clear now. Part B, help Paul to understand what penicillin treat. So we very well know that penicillin, we classified penicillin yesterday as an antibiotic. So it's an antibiotic that treats and relieve symptoms caused by bacteria. So you can alternatively say penicillin treats bacterial infections. You can even mention some, such as what? You mention some. You can mention pneumonia. You can mention the others, the UTIs like gonorrhea and so on. So mention some of them. The urinary, the respiratory tract infections such as cough. You can mention all those. They are treated by penicillin. And part D is, part C is like advice on the challenges associated with the long-term use of penicillin. We gave the challenges. So the challenge of long-term use of penicillin. We mentioned some. We said as you give these ones, you give the effect, the impact of the effect, and then the mitigation. So we can start with allergic reactions, such as rashes and skin irritations. That can result into wounds which impart pain. to the user. So the wounds are always painful. So the challenge is allergic reactions. The effect coming from the challenge are the skin irritations and rashes. The rashes give a certain impact, which is always what? The wounds that impart the pain to someone. And this can be mitigated by, by use of antihistamines. We talked of antihistamines yesterday. We said the antihistamines treat and relieve allergic reactions by the body. So you can go on and talk about um, the digestive disruption. You can go on and talk about the dizziness. You can talk about headache and so many others. The mitigations, you remember them. Um, you take as you use the medicine as prescribed by the doctor. Avoid self-medication and so many others. Reduce use of the drug. We remember the side effects. Only if you have a question about these ones. Let me first read some questions here. Please. So there is someone called Home of Sports. He's saying that like this man. Thank you, Home of Sports. I like you two people. Sir, that is category. We don't say synthetic or natural. You can include, actually, the question did not, the item, the tasks were not asking us to categorize, but they were talking about penicillin tablets. If there was a task asking us to categorize, we could start by saying, because they're talking about tablets. Tablets cannot be natural, these are synthetic. We could say synthetic, and give the class to which the penicillins belong, synthetic antibiotics. Hope I'm clear. The question did not ask us to categorize the product. It only asked us to point out the problem Paul made. Yes. We were told to point out the problem Paul made when choosing the product. Paul chose an antibiotic instead of an analgesic that would relieve the pain. I hope I've answered you. Nakauch there is a question here for sure. Yes, Shannon, I'm so grateful for liking and so many others. Welcome, Fiona Nakauch on the platform. Thanks for joining us. So we can go to another question and go through it. I want us to get a good question about drugs and medicine. So let's go through this question. Timothy has a question before we continue. How many challenges do we give? So long as the space is enough, give as much as you can. So long as the space, don't limit yourself. So long as you have space and time is not against you, give what they want to mark, but at least 3. Great, Timothy. Let me think I've responded to you, Timothy. There is an item here. The item goes, oh yeah. So here is an item. Isaac is a renowned border cyclist in Gayaza town. Always visits his grandmother whenever he falls sick. He trusts his grandmother's skills as a traditional healer. One day, on his way back home from work with a friend, he fell down and got bruises on all the knees. His friend rushed him to one of the local health centers instead of taking him to his grandmother. At the health center, he was given penicillin tablets. To his surprise, after about 1 week, he felt relieved from the pain. He has approached you for help. This question is not so clear. Let's get a clear one. Let's use this one. Atim and Oyam were both suffering from sickness, and Oyam was also feeling headache. They were both diagnosed with a certain bacterial infection, and thus they rushed to pharmacy, where Atim bought a certain drug, and her sickness later healed. Oyam bought another type of medicinal drug, but only the headache healed and the sickness persisted. To go back in the scenario, Atim and Oyam were both suffering from sickness, and Oyam was feeling also headache. When they went to hospital, they were both diagnosed of a bacterial infection. So the sickness was as a result of bacterial infection. But one of them, Oyam, had headache. When they bought the drugs, Atim bought a drug that healed both the headache. Actually, they are saying that Atim bought a certain drug and her sickness later healed. So the bacterial infection of Atim healed. But what Oyam bought only treated the headache. It did not treat the bacterial infection, if you analyze the scenario very well. What Atim bought treated the sickness. The sickness was the bacterial infection. But what Oyam bought only treated the headache, but not the sickness, not the bacterial infection. Let me hope we are clear. So, they are saying that as a chemistry learner, categorize the products used by Atim and Oyam. Find out how the products work. I think we are clear. Let's try to respond to the scenario, to the tasks. Part A, for that item, let me think I'm clear to continue. We are conversant with the scenario. Oyam, so they were synthetic. Timothy is saying that they were synthetic drugs, but which drugs specifically? To analyze the scenario again, Oyam had a bacterial infection as well as headache. Then Atim only had a bacterial infection. When she bought the drug, the bacterial infection was healed. When Oyam bought the drug, the bacterial infection did not heal, but he was relieved from the headache. So we are going to categorize the drugs Oyam and Atim used. So since the infection was a bacterial infection, it means they both needed an antibiotic. Let me think I'm clear. But Oyam also needed an analgesic to relieve the pain, the headache. The word ache means pain in the head. Ache, head ache. Head pain in the head. So to cut the story short, a team used. Let's check whether she used tablets. A team bought a certain drug. They did not specify. They did not specify. So we are not going to include the natural and synthetic because they did not specify. So a team used an antibiotic. Go on and give a reason to why it was an antibiotic. So because it treated and relieved her from the bacterial infection. Let me think I'm clear. There is a question here. I also got a question. Ask. Please go on, Fiona. I'm going to find the question. Then, when we go to Oyam, Oyam bought a drug which treated the headache but not the bacterial infection. So Oyam bought or used an analgesic which only relieved the pain in the head but cannot treat the infection. So Oyam used an analgesic. Used an analgesic since he was relieved of the pain he had. So those are the categories. The antibiotic are team bought and the analgesic bought. I think we are getting to where that came from. So the question from Tim Freya, we categorize each one. Each one is drug. That was the item. That was the task on the item. Okay. They were categorized the products used by Atim and Oyam. Let me think I've answered you, Timothy. They told us to categorize actually to the fact that each of them used a different drug. So we had to categorize each separately. They did not use the same drug. So they are asking find out how the products work. So we are going to show how these antibiotics work and how the analgesics work. So we are going to show how these ones work. So the antibiotics work by inhibiting bacterial growth or by inhibiting protein synthesis to stop cell division. So that's how the antibiotics work. And the analgesics, remember very well, we said yesterday that the analgesics work by blocking synapses stopping impulses from close them to the brain. So that's how the two products work. Let me think I'm clear to everyone. So there is a question again. How many scores do I get when I answer that item correctly, sir? So your name isn't clear with the scoring. That's why you did not see any score on any paper. So the clarification is to come out shortly. We should always respond using everything we need to use. We leave everything, the scoring to your name. We have to give the right information. We leave the scoring to your name. What we are giving is what is needed. The scoring work is your name. Your name is task. Let me think I'm responding to Timothy. Am I clear? Am I clear to everyone? Okay. To move on, of course, sorry, to cut the story short, they will tell you to give the challenges associated. Of course, that is an advice, or they will tell you openly to give the challenges associated. Don't hesitate to give them. You give the challenge, the effect of the challenge, the impact, and then the mitigation. We've said you give the challenge, the effect of the challenge, the impact of the challenge, and then mitigation. Allergic reaction, you give the example, such as irritation that causes which effect, wounds, which impact is caused by the wounds, pain. How do we mitigate it? By using antihistamines. So you give the challenge for the advice. You give the challenge, the effect of the challenge, impact, and finally the mitigation. Let me think about that. Remember, we said as you're responding, you follow the 6 S's. Your response should be short as you can. Give a short response. Yes, it is short. It must be simple to understand. This means use simple English. Don't use the vocabularies we don't understand. Use, you give a very strong point, much as it is short. Include more of the chemistry concept. to make this point strong. The chemistry terms. We said the response must be sincere. To be sincere, you must back your response with an explanation or an example as evidence. Yes, you must be straight to what is asked. Don't hesitate. Don't beat around the bush. Use too much English. Introducing your point. Introduce the point, immediately you put your pen on the paper. Allergic reaction, it is your point, it is your challenge. It is followed by the effect and then the challenges. The impact. Go straight to the point. And then be specific. This level of specificity, is determined by the response you give. The response is talking about antibiotics. Because you know a lot about drugs and medicines, you also talk about the stimulants. You talk about the antipsychotic, the antihistamines, the antifungals, the antimalarials. No, be specific. What is the scenario? What is the scenario pointing out? Only talk about what is talked about in the scenario. Don't beat about the bush. Be specific when you're responding. When you follow all these ones, I'm very sure you'll give facts. As facts are the ones that are needed in science subjects. Nakawich has a question before we continue. Nakawich, does it affect me when I don't and mitigations, but just give the challenges? Yes, as they are scoring, they give for one to earn. Remember, they are going to score you. It is a format UNEB is using. They check, did you understand the concept? Conceptual understanding. They're going to mark you in these levels. Do you have the knowledge about the concept you were given? That is conceptual knowledge. Can you apply the knowledge you have? That is conceptual knowledge. So for you to reach all the levels of understanding a certain concept, the levels they are going to use when marking you, I'll come and one and teach about these things. For you to leave level 1 to level 2 or level 3, you must have given a solid answer. So it's better you phrase a point to a level that no one can doubt it. Remember, we are preparing competent people. So a competent person cannot fail to apply what you understood and what you know. Let me think I'm responding to Fiona Nakauchi. Am I clear to you? So give as much information as you can. Not forgetting that there are people who write more. Don't get yourself to your level. Always strive to earn the best. Am I clear? I'm certain. To cut the story short, maybe we can go through this item lastly in this session. Let's hear this question. Maybe you can bring the camera closer. They are saying that Isaac, let's redo the other question that skipped. Isaac, a border cyclist, in Gaza town, always visit his grandmother whenever he feels sick. He trusts his grandmother's skills uh, as a traditional healer. One day, on his way back home from work with a friend, he fell down and got bruises on all the knees. His friend rushed him to one of the local health centers instead of taking him to his grandmother. At the health center, he was given aspirin tablets. To his surprise, after about 1 week, he felt relieved from the pain. He has approached you and why he got relieved. As a chemistry learner, tasks, write a message you will share with Isaac. In your message, include the category of the product, the function of the product, and the challenges associated with the use of the product. If someone used aspirin, the aspirin this someone used, he felt relieved from the pain. So they are talking about pain. Which category of drugs do you think this Isaac was given in the health center? Let me think we are clear. So part A is talking about the category. We are coming back. So he was given tablets. There is no way. So someone has an answer before you continue. So Timothy is saying it is an analgesic, but specify he used which analgesic. He used the tablets this time. Which analgesic? Natural, synthetic. Timothy, natural, synthetic. Please, please, please. Let's have response. Yes, great. So they Isaac used synthetic, used a synthetic analgesic drug. Why do you think he used that? Why do you think it is an analgesic drug? You give the function. Since he was relieved why is it the tablets are always laboratory processed. So it is a synthetic drug because it is a laboratory processed drug. We are sorry about the network. We are sorry about the network. So what is the function? The functions of these analgesics. We gave them. We said they relieve pain. We gave the functions of the analgesics. Lower elevated body temperatures to normal. These are some of the functions. And you should also know how this product works, how the analgesic drug works. We said it works by blocking the synapses, stopping the impulses of pain from crossing through the synapses to the brain. I think with that, we can even give the challenges. We said for the challenges, we give the challenge, effect, impact, and then the mitigation of the challenge. With that, I think we shall not write any more much of the English. We shall always be straight to the point. Shall give short responses but very strong. We shall be specific, sincere, and straight to the point. We said I'm to online and I'm teacher Alan. There's a question before I close. Fiona is asking, can we be given a scenario when the drug is not included, but when we have got the medicine to be, when the disease is not given, but when we are given the medicine to be used by a particular person in the scenario. In most cases, the drug may not be a problem. So when they only give a drug, it means in the scenario there will be no problem. They will always connect a scenario, a drug, a problem, which is always an infection, an illness to the body. My answering Fiona. And these questions will always be very simple. And I'm very sure when we meet again, we are going to break down nuclear atomic chemistry. Let's break down moral concepts. If you don't get it well, we break down the moral concept very well. Suggest which one should we go with? Moral concepts or atomic chemistry? There is a question here. May the camera be placed near the work of how the analgesics work. How the analgesics work. It is right here. So let me think. Martha, are you noting? The analgesics work by blocking synapses, stopping the impulses from crossing through them to the brain. Great. I think that is enough. So Timothy is suggesting nuclear processes. Who is second nuclear processes? We'll look at that. Hey, Timothy is saying we did not talk about the antihypertensives. The antihypertensives, the antihypertensives, we shall give the functions, the function only. For these ones, lower. The word hyper means high. Tensive comes from the word tension, which means pressure. So these ones, the antihypertensives, lower lower elevated blood pressure to normal. Lower elevated blood pressure to normal. Let me hope I've responded to Timothy. So Fiona is suggesting moral concepts. Yes. Martha, you're humble. That's great. I'm also grateful for your question. I think with that, one person anti the votes. Moral concept 1, nuclear processes 1. What should we go with? Martha, what should we go with? Which lesson should we have next? nuclear processes from matter. Mumberedde moral concepts. But we shall look at all. Maybe we wait for what we shall prepare. Just get prepared with your pen and book. We are Muto Online. One task for today, you at least get us 3 members, only 3 members to subscribe on our platform, to like our videos, to always comment. Add us more in the group, the WhatsApp group. We are Muto Online, and I'm Seleko Alan representing, and Tony on the camera. We are so grateful for your time. Thank you.